Yo, people, welcome back. We are here. We Can Be Heroes is back, baby. As always, it's your boy, John Torado. Fucking excited for all this content that came out this week, baby. Marvel did so damn good for us. And of course, we have my little brother, Matt Torado, my co-host. How you doing?
I'm excited. That's it. But you don't understand, like, when you had sent us, and we have a group chat, like the Marvel group chat, as we discussed in the past, and like you had sent out the message saying 3 days. I didn't put that into perspective because I was, busy with the first week of college. I was like, a few days from now, we'll be experiencing another Marvel movie in theaters. I mean, 2 months after, Black Widow. So the fact that these, any Marvel content is releasing in such close proximity to each other, it's just crazy to think about because we're just being blessed for definitely being blessed for the rest of the year, and then 2022 is shaping up to be fantastic. But
Throwing all this
I don't
stuff in
know.
our face, man.
It's yeah. I mean, like, how are you feeling about this? Like, are you like, how are you able to contain all your jolts of excitement, knowing that we have, Eternals coming out next month. We had, Shang-Chi that well, technically released today, but if you had opening night, you could have viewed it
Right.
yesterday. But like, how are you able to sort of prevent yourself from being overwhelmed by everything? Do you just take it one step at a time, or?
Yeah, I honestly I look at it as like its own little window of content. Like I don't it all connects, but let's just focus on each thing as it comes, right? Like don't try to
Right.
dig too deep into it too fast, or theories and all that are all good, but I just kind of try to micromanage each episode, each movie, each bit of content that comes out. Um,
Yeah.
Honestly, this is probably one of the best Marvel weeks we've had in a long time. If you consider Shang-Chi was a solid movie. We'll go over our ratings and stuff in a little bit, but the connections it may have to the MCU going forward. And then the What If episode, episode 4, we're going to go over that as well a little bit in the episode later in the episode here. Uh, I'm going to give you know what, we'll save it. But either way, amazing episode, and we're here, we're ready to get this started, baby. Indisputable. But I'll say this: I am ready to get into this thing. I know you are too. So we're gonna go right into
Yeah.
Shang-Chi. If I'm sure the people watching will be okay with that. So Matt, we always start this off with the basic general what you thought about the movie, and I kind of wanted to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so I'm just going to be as brief as possible because I obviously want to get into sort of what your perspective on. I know you released your own review of Shang-Chi. For those who aren't aware, he gave 8.0 or 8.5
Eight
out
flat,
of
yeah,
10.
eight flat.
Yeah, out of 10, praising best hand-to-hand combat. I would argue potentially, but we'll say as a lover of the Winter Soldier, it's hard. It's very difficult for me to say a Marvel movie is better than that. The
Mhm.
only one I think is even comparable is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 specifically. But anyways, to get back on track for Shang-Chi, it was just what I expected out of a Marvel movie, and that's the bad thing. Um, Even though we're sort of met with like this new world full of characters, creatures. I'll go creatures because obviously we'll go more in depth of for why I would toss that word out there. Um, it, the side characters were not very interesting. Shang-Chi as a hero, I think Simu Liu does a great job. He has a bunch of passion. It's just his character doesn't go through any substantial growth over the course of the film. Um, in a sense of he's just given his, realistically speaking, everyone's seen in trailers, like he's given a superhero costume, but there's never, the only realization he goes through is sort of that transition period from you know into adulthood. Obviously, the complications you find with having to take on such larger responsibilities, but that's pretty much it. And I think that's pretty much like a lesson that most of these heroes have learned thus far, is to sort of taking on the mantle of a hero to protect the world essentially. But yeah, I mean that's like as simple as I can get. There's a bunch more I'll go more into depth about, but what like where do you lie on the scale? Like, does it rank among the solo outings of the MCU? Like, where would you think it ranks compared to
That's
ones
a
in the
tough.
past?
That's a tough question. So where I give it a good, so the MCU and Marvel is so good that an 8 out of 10 in this universe would be like a 2 out of 10 anywhere else, right? I mean, if you like, not to say Shang-Chi's bad, but
Yeah, Shang-Chi's not
eight,
an awful movie at all by any
eight,
means.
eight out of 10 is not amazing, right? I can even drop it down to 7, give or take, strictly for plot. Character development was ish. I actually like Katie's character development a little more than Shang-Chi's. um,
Honestly, I think Katie did have more development as a character
more of an
compared to
actual
Shang-Chi.
arc, I would say, more of an actual
Oh,
arc, right?
yeah, it was like it was
So I
distinguishing.
would say this for when it came to Shang-Chi, there was just it wasn't here consistent. It was like middling consistent. There was really no arc from really low to really high, right? I feel like we were thrown I guess we're kind of getting into movie, but overall I gave it so best hand-to-hand combat. So Winter Soldier as a movie is my favorite movie in the MCU. I would be very confident in saying that. Out of all the films, like literally all the films, and
I
that's
would
including
second your
Endgame,
yeah.
that's
I
including
would.
Infinity War.
Oh,
That's
absolutely. I would second your opinion to that.
I would say is my favorite. So the best, technically, if it's my favorite, it's the best. Um, the combat was a main reason why that was such a good movie. So I guess in my rating, I said best hand-to-hand combat in the MCU. I would just say it was at the same level at points as Winter Soldier's combat throughout that movie.
Oh, sure,
So
sure.
because of that, the rating whew, went right up for me. Like as an overall movie rating because of that combat. Like I think if Winter Soldier's combat was bad, we're talking a pretty bad film. Like what made it so great was all of that combined, right? But that was also a giant piece of it, the combat and the
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
choreography and
mean, oh,
cinematography.
no doubt, no doubt.
I
Because I
mean,
think there's only
all a
so much.
huge part,
Yeah, there's only
all a huge
so
part,
much you can do with excellent writing. Because
right?
I mean, at the end of the day, Winter Soldier, for example, is another superhero movie,
Yeah,
so they
eh,
need those sort of entertaining sequences. If they were not up to par, well,
right,
let me contextualize this. This was after Iron Man 3, Dark World, Avengers, where we saw these um like supernatural s characters or alien like characters being introduced.
right,
So I think Winter Soldier was definitely experimental in the sense of it being grounded in reality. I really think the only other films we saw were like the original Iron Man movie, even elements of the Incredible Hulk, give or take. Obviously the original Captain America, and then I think from that point, like with Marvel having more money at their disposal and being more confident in taking risks, they were willing to sort of give filmmakers more liberty in the sense of what they wanted to accomplish.
right,
And ultimately, Shang-Chi is the same, right? You can definitely tell, like, I know the first name of the director is Dustin. Like, it's definitely given plenty of creative freedom. I'm sure it was as collaborative as you was saying in multiple interviews. But I think the story was not particularly interesting, other than the lore elements involved. I think
right,
the lore is fascinating, and they were
right.
just again flesh that out. You know what I think? And this is like Black Panther. I don't think both those movies are good. Like I honestly think Shang-Chi and Black Panther are on the same level with each other.
I'm a fan of Black Panther,
Realistically
so
speaking. Now, you're a fan of Black Panther, so you would rank it easily in your top. I pretty much I would say top five,
my
right?
overall, I'd have to look at a
Or
whole
would it?
ranking,
I
but
know you had to look at
around
your
there.
ranking,
So
but like somewhere in that ballpark.
I would say this. I would say Shang Chi. So let's just bring it to all the solo movies so far, right? Over Dark World, over Thor one, over Incredible Hulk, over Iron Man one, in my opinion.
Oh, that's bold.
Way over Black Widow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
um. Oh, I'm sorry. Way over Yelena. I don't call it Black Widow. It's Yelena. um. Let's see. Uh, not over Doc Strange. Not over Cap one. Not over Cap two. Civil War doesn't really count as a solo. Um, it's not. I mean, maybe cracks out of just solo films. It hits the top 8. Shang-Chi 7.
Honestly, you want to hear a bold opinion? I think Thor is a better movie. than Shang-Chi.
I don't. So I'm not mad about it. I just so me saying it's better in Thor is not me hating Thor. It's just
Oh
I
yeah,
like
yeah.
Shang
You're
Chi
just saying like
more.
in
Right
comparison, right? Yeah, absolutely. I would
now,
say
if you said like Dark World is better, I'd literally choke you through the screen. That's not happening.
yeah,
We're
no,
not.
that will never happen. But
Right. So I mean, for me, it's definitely a good film. You and I talked about this. Like I think what you're trying to say is they kind of failed at one thing. Is they succeeded at bringing us a new character, a fresh kind of feel to the MCU. They failed at kind of making it the same XYZ as all the MCU films.
that is, I think, a
But
beautiful way of describing
that's
my
not an
opinions.
indictment on Shang-Chi. I said it so well. That's more of an indictment on
The screenwriters,
Marvel Studios.
yeah, and yeah, I
But
think
if that's how they want to go, I'm okay with it. They're gonna have to start to expand beyond the typical status quo for their studios, right? We're seeing that in What If for sure. I mean, they're expanded beyond belief. We're seeing that in WandaVision and Loki, where they're the status quo for them is like make these characters super less powerful than they really are in the comics. But now we're seeing the opposite, right? So that just the fact that they're willing to really expand all these characters' powers shows that they're going to start to go outside the box. They're very boxed in. Now, I think so. Answer this question. They had a fear with Shang-Chi that there just wouldn't be a lot of hype around it, around the character. He's been in the comics for 50 plus years, but there wasn't as much popularity with his comic line as all the other comic lines, right? Do you think they felt if they stayed in their normal studios box, it would be more successful? Because
yes,
they had their
it's a
flam please the fans situation.
yeah, it's a similar formula Disney slash Marvel have been dealing with for the past few years. Introduce comedy, new character, different story, different environment, put them all together, you have a Marvel movie. And this film on a story level is incredibly generic. I felt for zero of the side characters. I don't even remember half the side characters' names other than Aquafina's I think it's like Katie was her name, like Katie.
Katie, yes.
And then obviously Shang-Chi is the title hero. It's very difficult to forget his name. But uh, I think Marvel was just trying to master laziness by just bringing in new characters. And by default, they're just not producing at the quality I want them to. And
Right.
again, like I want to elaborate on this. I do not expect these movies to be Academy Award winning level. But when you're putting in $200+ million, you better hire some competent screenwriters who are willing to put in the
Well,
extra
that's my
effort
thing
and
is
take and take risk. Put an R-rated movie out there. Go outside your comfort zone. Make a serious Marvel movie.
yeah.
You're
And
not going to be ruined.
to speak to your point though, you just said you're not asking for them to be Academy Award winning, but shit, if you're putting that money in, why not try? I mean,
It,
these movies they have significant investment. They're hiring great. I like Simu Lee. I like the woman that played his sister. I don't remember the sister's name at the top of my head, but woman that played Katie. The characters are great. If they're great, I'm sorry, the actors are great. Actresses are great. If they're great, let them be great. Screenwrite for them that way, right? I mean, I'm okay with Marvel movies winning Oscars. Like, who the hell wouldn't want to win an Oscar as any movie? Like that's where you should strive for, right? I mean, not just Oscars, but overall with your plot
yeah,
line, your story. When you stay boxed in, it's like you're just only people pleasing to make the money more so than trying to make the best content available.
exactly. I mean, you're just catering to your massive fan base, which
Right.
I mean, there's
Which they
nothing
have
wrong
to.
with
They
on
still have
right.
to. They still have
So
to.
from a business perspective, going on a leap and making a Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, it is a dangerous move. You
Oh
have no
yeah.
idea how
That thing
audiences
could have
will respond.
flopped.
Oh, absolutely. No idea how audiences will respond to such a bizarre experience. But clearly, it's among the most the most popular. I mean, every single Marvel movie is popular in their own way, right? They've definitely garnered some recognition over the years,
Right.
some accolades as well, as we see with Black Panther, etc.
Right.
But I think also to further your point in terms of being boxed in, um, I really don't think. Actually, no, this is a separate point. My apologies. But another point I wanted to bring up is, um, would this film have with this film being made during the pandemic, you can tell the visual effects artists did not have enough time to flesh anything out. Like there was a lot of noticeable green screen that that immediately took me out of the experience. And often so I will forgive them for that. I'm still gonna deduct like I automatically deduct points that way because
Hmm.
again, $200 million is no. Like you could have easily delayed the movie further, give them enough time. Like they don't have enough time.
Right.
And remember, that's something I even took into account for Loki, for example, is that these visual effects artists are not given are given resources, obviously,
Right.
but time is crucial and time is also critical.
Right.
Well, that's literally the same word. Um, but what I mean to say is that like I meant to say time is limited. My
Right.
apologies. So
Right. Right.
that's what I meant. So time is limited. And when this film finished when filming back in February,
Right.
March, April, May, June, July, August, September, right? So 6 months, not
COVID
including
delays got him.
September.
Right.
No way. Like,
Right.
I'm sorry. Like, I only like and remember there's reshoots, so they have to go in and see if they can go around to taking care of the green screen or any other visual effects or rendering it. It's just it's a complicated process, and it's
Yeah.
just it was a very ugly looking movie in certain situations, but
You'd expect it
again, I
to be
mean,
more beautiful in a sense, which I think
yeah,
we're gonna get that with Ant-Man Quantumania. There's they're using some new system for.
the volume from which is first used in the Mandalorian. So I know it's basically these for those who are unaware, it's this 3D stage of sorts,
Right.
where the actors can sort of, I guess, visually interact with an environment. So they
Right.
have something called
Less
preference.
green screen, more what's in front of you with a
Yeah,
little bit of screen
absolutely,
screen. Right.
absolutely.
So
And
it
what they
may
capture, yeah, exactly. What they
may look
capture.
beautiful.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But
Yeah.
sorry, I rambled on for a while
No,
now.
you're good.
But
You're good. No, I
um,
so I think I'm with you for sure. I don't think it really for me in giving it the 8 out of 10. It didn't. Those things I kind of expected with the COVID delays, right? A little bit of the visual issues. Overall, I think it was a beautiful film. Uh, Not including those errors, like the stuff that wasn't messed up.
oh sure, very
um,
colorful.
Super
I would
colorful.
say.
I'd say plot wise. So we'll start to get into it. Obviously, you know, Shang is well, technically was a member of the Ten Rings when the Mandarin married his mom, and Mandarin ended up quitting. So throughout the MCU, we hear, and I don't know if you remember this specifically. I think it was in Iron Man 3 specifically. The Ten Rings were what they called dormant. Well, now we see why, right? Like the Mandarin quit operating the Ten Rings to be there for his family, his wife and his kids. So that was interesting in itself. That was awesome to kind of see that connection. Um, but Shang essentially gave up the life of the Ten Rings and ran off and somehow ended up in San Francisco. And uh, he was already a trained assassin. Was trained once his mother died. And overall, the film, it's kind of like his. They tried to make it a real development. It's like, do you almost feel like the development was done off screen? Like I kind of feel like
I felt yeah,
we were just expected to know he
yeah.
went through his like trials and errors already.
And one of the main issues I have with the film is the Mandarin himself. There is absolutely zero like there's honestly no development.
Yeah, it's just a
And
conqueror, basically. Conquer,
yeah, apparently he's a conqueror of sorts, but understandably so. I mean, he grew
conquer.
in yeah. Well, I mean, he grew up in a time period where you realistically had to take over um, various empires in order to gain superiority over a large piece of land, essentially, and then therefore you can conquer more throughout the continent in this case, obviously. But like, I don't know. It's just I you know what I think too, and part of me thinks you're just setting up, like they're indirectly setting up like a Disney Plus series, maybe, just to show what the Mandarin was doing throughout, the 1,000 years. But I don't know, it just felt so underutilized. Like there's so much they can do. He's apparently a bloodthirsty maniac of sorts, but we never see that. We're told that,
I
but
mean,
we never experience that as the audience, or
going
we
to the comics
assume
though, this
he's
is
that.
twice now that they've kind of undermined what the Mandarin really was and could have been, right?
Oh, no doubt. I mean,
So I
Trevor
mean,
Slattery was a
they still
different
showed his
breed of
impact throughout time. Him being alive for that long and conquering cities and businesses and government and all. They showed all that. I get that, but this is the second time now where I feel like the Mandarin is such a huge part of the MCU, and they don't want him to be for some reason. It doesn't
I,
make any sense.
I
Maybe
don't
because there's
know.
no, and you and I talked about this a little bit. Maybe because there is no Iron Man now, they don't feel a need to. Because
Fair enough.
he is Iron Man's damn near number one enemy. Like,
It's so peculiar to me, and the direction they took with his characters is I have no idea. I just never gained the impression he was a villain. If anything, he was just someone who wanted to be reunited with his
well,
wife.
he's a
I mean,
villain. He's a
well,
villain
a
in the
villain
sense of
if
his past, right?
right, but I forgot he like well, the reason why I say that is because I honestly forgot like he was the main antagonist. Um, in the background, because you remember back in the original Iron Man, he was obviously Tony Stark in the cave was developing weapons for domestic terrorists
Mm-hmm.
for the Ten Rings.
Right.
We never see like that's literally never explained in the film. Like it is never once implied that he was like he took charge for that because
Well,
he
so
stopped conquering for years and then
Shang was
right
told after his wife, after when he was 14, before he quit the Ten Rings, he was told to kill someone, assassinate someone. I thought that
yeah
was Stark. I thought literally we were going to see like him going to the Middle East where Stark was, and like him choosing not to kill Stark. I thought I thought that's what his assignment was. Honestly, I don't know if the timing would have worked out because I think that would have been 2008, 13, 21. I mean, technically it could have worked out that way. I mean, he would have been what
you
20,
never know
27 about what he is now.
yeah
So I mean,
yeah
it
you
could
just
have
make him be born a year or two earlier to match
figure
up
out the details. Yeah,
money wise
exactly.
yeah.
So I thought that was they never actually showed us who he was supposed to kill either. So maybe it is
Well,
Stark.
well no it was the man responsible for killing his mother is the person he killed, so he killed him off screen. You never see it.
Sean didn't kill him.
Yeah, he did. So
Wait,
yeah, in the third act, there's like the expositional dialogue between Katie and Shang, and
yeah.
you know how Shang was saying to Katie, you know when I told you back in San Francisco or like back on the plane where I had an assignment to do, and that and everything, and he says, oh, I lied about what I did, I killed him, and then that
Mm,
was pretty much it. Like
okay,
it was literally a piece of dialogue, and I never and that's and again I hate that. Like I understand show don't tell.
that's so
Oh
forgettable.
no, that's the opposite. That's literally tell, don't show.
Right,
Show, don't tell. Like we don't want to hear him talk about it. We want to see him commit the act.
right.
In fact, I don't even know why he didn't even start the film that way. Like have him be this right? Like it catches the audience off guard because we view Shang-Chi as his hero. We see him seemingly killing what appears to be an innocent person begging for his life. Then over the course of the film, right, we understand the context as to why he killed that person and then sympathize with him because he obviously has regrets over killing someone. Like that will not bring his mother back. Like that's all you had to do. They just like have it randomly tucked away in some dialogue, and it's just so lazy. Again, it's filmed during the pandemic, so he probably just didn't have the time to film another scene
Right.
with the 14-year-old actor. But I don't know. I mean,
So
it's
I,
isn't like that, or
that makes
maybe
sense
just like
then. That makes
funny.
sense then for sure. So I, you know, I guess I'm not too. I'm not too much a fan of how the Mandarin is operated either. To be honest,
It's just so
you're making
peculiar.
me every time I talk to you, I feel like I drop my rating.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, yeah,
No, no, no.
yeah,
Overall, I just like the film because I like how Shang kind of operated and stuff like that.
yeah.
So I did want to get into something quick. So as we're progressing throughout the movie, uh, we do see Shang is attacked by the Ten Rings and attempt to get the pendant on his neck that was given that his mother gave him. That was to use that to find out where his mother is. The Mandarin is essentially hearing these outside voices that are telling him that his wife is still alive, Shang-Chi's mother.
Yes.
And he's sitting in what's the name? Oh my god, I can't remember. Talo,
Sounds about right.
Talo, the city that Shang-Chi's mom is from.
Yep.
There is a mystical creature, evil monster, essentially that's hiding behind a gate of dragon scales. Essentially, is what it is. That's keeping them in there. It's this monster that's all part of the lore of that city and how it attempted to take all the souls of the city and destroy the city and all this stuff. So he's attacked in San Fran with Katie. They go through this whole scene and stuff like that. And I guess I probably think that's one of the better scenes. The bus scene is what we talked about. I think we talked about it off podcast.
Oh
That
yes.
was such great cinematography showing the fight going up and down the bus. I looked over to one of our, for those who don't know, one of our friends, Grant, that we always watch Marvel movies with. I told him, I was like, this is better than a train fight in Spider-Man, Toby Spider-Man. Like it just, you see how much better things are getting as far as cinematography throughout these movies. Um, certain parts, yes, certain parts, no, but this specifically, I love that scene.
Yeah, the hand-to-hand actually, you know what? On that topic, since we're discussing the action sequences, I would say all hand-to-hand combat sequences were done beautifully.
Yes,
You could definitely tell Simu Leo as well as whichever actor or actress they're using for the scene
right.
are performing their stunts in camera as much as possible.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure there are a few occasions where they have to put in the stunt double, but there are a ton of wide shots where you actually see firsthand of like Shang-Chi battling against Death Dealer. We also have that amazing sequence where in the midst of their escape down inside of a building, there are just multiple henchmen of the Mandarin like chasing after him with these electrical like I don't really know like these weapons,
weapons.
these shock weapons essentially.
Right.
And again, like all of that is done within one shot, so to speak, right? Like follows, and then there's like a cutaway to another part of the scene. But all like there were like not as many cuts as I thought. That's what I personally love.
So
The latter half is where I have my complaints in terms of how they dealt with action because it was such a stark contrast between what we saw in the beginning compared to the end. I
right.
really love the grounded nature. I mean, so I like the grounded nature, but with you having like 10 rings, these like mystical artifacts that have these unique abilities, chances are you're going to, have some over the top action, and you're not actually going to have that fight between Shang-Chi and Mandarin at some point. It makes sense.
I thought the choreography was awesome. How they used the rings to fight and how Shang did, and well, I guess Mandarin and Shang did at the same time. That was dope. Yeah, one of the end
Oh
scenes
yeah,
there.
the parallel was cool.
They learn how to utilize them. So I will say this real quick. I just want to say this. Damn you, Iron Fist, Netflix series. Comparatively, what the hell was Marvel doing? I know it technically wasn't Feige's Marvel anymore at that point when Iron Fist existed.
Jeff Loeb.
Chef Loeb,
uh,
man, stay away forever. Like
I think
that.
I mean he ruined a lot of shows there.
I
Inhumans.
just I just don't
Um,
understand, man. It just didn't make any sense how Shang-Chi could be so good and Iron Fist so bad. And I'm just glad that Iron
mhm.
Fist is gonna get totally rebooted at some point. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And
He should. It's yeah, Iron Fist is bad.
it's so
Well, not the
bad.
character. I mean the Netflix series.
Right.
But what's mind-boggling too is that you hear like Simu Liu saying they did over 140 like 146 takes for the fight for the confrontation between him and Death Dealer, and you can definitely tell they're putting in their maximum effort. And then
Mm-hmm.
you have the Netflix series where you have these like executive producers who are literally saying that Finn Jones learned the choreography for his fight scenes 15 minutes before shooting. I mean, apparently he didn't even have that much passion. He was like, I'll do it. He didn't want to buckle for the role. He was
He's
just casted. He wanted the money, and he liked the character enough. But you could tell. I mean, they didn't understand the character, and it's just like it's just I don't know. It's just depressing.
like a mess.
Give
Shang-Chi,
it give,
if you
give
compare
us
it to that,
Daredevil.
Shang-Chi was a 12 out of 10. Um,
Yeah, literally. That's
yeah,
like
so
a
I'm
100 out of 10.
definitely excited to see how the hand plays a factor into the future too.
Oh,
If and
absolutely.
when I mean
I
they're all kind of directly related. Shang and Iron Fist have a long history
I mean,
in the
my
comics.
proposal bring back Kung Lung or reboot of Kung Lung. I don't want that
Right,
Netflix shit. Um,
right.
uh, bring in a rebooted Iron Fist. Finn Jones, you're done. Like,
Oh yeah, he's there's no way.
God bless you. I hope you find other opportunities. You're just not a good actor. Um, I'm sorry. I get really toxic about this. Uh, but when in terms of just bring in like a rebooted Kung Lung, new Iron Fist, have them work together to face off against the Ten Rings again. We'll obviously go more in depth about those post credit scenes. And that's really all you need to do. And it's nice too because we have a chance to see like the huge because I mean Iron Fist and Shang-Chi have very distinct fighting styles. Shang-Chi is definitely more on the defensive now after being inspired by his mother. And then I would argue I don't know much about the character of Iron Fist, but if they kept that element accurate, based off of the Netflix series, and we know that show isn't very accurate, but presumably, right? Let's assume that his fighting style is similar to the comics. He definitely has a more um, there's definitely both characters have a commonness, but Iron Fist is more aggressive. I would argue,
Right,
at least from what we saw in the Netflix series. I don't know if it's
right,
the same in the comics. They could have just done it for entertainment purposes,
right.
but that's all. But yeah, I mean, do you? So, let's say Iron Fist returns at some point. He will return. We know that.
There's
But
no
let's
chance he
say he
doesn't. Right.
returns in a Shang-Chi shoe. Would you be mad? Well, or not mad, but would you be disappointed if Finn Jones returned, like that same Iron Fist returned?
So I mean, there's no way Marvel Studios lets him pull the shit he pulled in Netflix Studios.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, they'll
So
fire him.
I
They'll
would say
cancel him.
this: I didn't mind him as playing the character. Hold on, how are you word this? I don't mind him as the choice for Iron Fist, but if he doesn't do what he needs to do in terms of being fully committed, like Simu Lee, I don't want nothing to do with him. Like I think if he came in as a committed character, he fits the mold of what Iron Fist was. Like he just needs to be a committed actor, committed to the character itself.
Yeah, honestly, I think the only commitments he had was just to the writing and him,
Right.
memorizing his lines of dialogue and then
Just got his
saying whatever
lines
he needs to
and
do.
barely did the choreography. Yeah, exactly. But if he's fully committed, like Simu,
Yeah, like on a
um,
physicality and
right,
storytelling
got in
perspective,
great shape
absolutely.
for. You got freaking Natalie Portman getting in better shape for Thor, Lady Thor, than he ever did for Iron Fist.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. I read that interview too. Apparently, she lost. I think she lost pounds too.
Yeah. Oh, she lost
Funnily
and
enough,
then
I mean,
gained tons of muscle.
yeah. I mean,
Right.
yeah. She gained muscle mass and then gained muscle mass and then, like
Right.
you said, like actually lost a bunch of weight, which is insane to think about. I'm curious to
Right.
see what they'll do with her and well, we know what they're doing with her and Lord Love and
Right.
Thunder,
Right.
but I'm just curious to see like her in a comic
So
accurate outfit.
in the trailer review we did a couple episodes ago for Shang-Chi, we saw Abomination and Wong fighting.
Mm.
And our assumption was that the Tournament of Champions was coming, which is one of the major comic book lines in Marvel content. We thought that was going to be the main course of this movie. Honestly, it was such a minor part. All of us overhyped it, and I give Marvel credit for that. You know, they didn't go the status quo for that. At least the expectation was that was happening, and it didn't.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but we go to find out that Wong and Abomination were fighting in the tournament, probably just to make some money. And Abomination's friends with Wong, apparently. So how the hell did they meet? And how are they friends? And where the hell did they go after they fought in the ring?
You know what? I want that to be a running gag. Like I want Wong to randomly befriend like characters of the MCU with zero explanation. Like I want him to see with honestly I want to see him with Kang the Conqueror. Like I don't know, we're just like casually having a conversation about life, and then he's off. No, in all
Wong
seriousness,
is the Watcher.
um, yeah, no, yeah.
Imagine.
In all seriousness, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe they'll explain. I don't know. I think they'll explain it. But where did he go? So we see at the end of the so basically there's this huge battle between not a huge battle but a battle of sorts between Abomination and Wong. Wong defeats him by creating a portal and then Abomination hits himself. directly. They head back into this locker room, and then Wong says to him, "Oh, you should have landed your punches better, etc." He opens up a portal. Is that Ross's facility?
I think that's the
Is that the
raft.
raft?
Where they go is, I mean, I just don't. So make Wong is a thunderbolt. Is the thunderbolts are being set up? Like if they're not fucking damn near just putting the word thunderbolts on the screen, what else are they doing? I mean, like maybe Wong is a part of thunderbolts, and maybe that's how he had access to Abomination, and he just asked Ross to use them, and maybe that was just a way. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It is probably something stupid like a running gag, but it's probably also not. And I don't know what the fuck is going on. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I'm just
And
curious. Yeah, I agree. I'm just
I mean,
curious
where
how
was
those.
Abomination the whole time?
Absolutely. Speaking of which, you ever Tim Blake Nelson? I'm sure you're familiar with that actor. He was in the Incredible Hulk. Um, whatever happened to him? His character. You remember near the end, like he was. I'm sorry, I don't remember. I'm gonna have to look this up real fast if you don't mind. But since we're on the topic of like Abomination of sorts, there's a character Tim Blake Nelson was supposed to originally play. Um, but I think because Incredible Hulk wasn't that well received, they didn't move forward with it. But I think now with She-Hulk coming out, they'll probably bring him in. So I just think if you give me a quick, oh, that's it, Absorbing Man.
Who's that?
Absorbing Man. So he's basically sorry. I had to look this up as we speak because I just no, I actually completely forgot Abomination was in the movie. Or is it Absorbing Man? No, I literally have I have the villain right in front of my face. It's basically think of him as like no, is it actually? Oh, the leader, the leader. There we go. That's it. Is the villain I'm referring to. So he might show up in She-Hulk as well, and maybe that's how Abomination breaks out of prison in order to be in She-Hulk.
Mm, okay.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure his name is the leader in the comics.
He's definitely in She-Hulk. He's in She-Hulk. She-Hulk herself, obviously Bruce Banner, and the villain's gonna be Titania. They said so. Titania
Is
has,
it?
I think Titania
Yes.
has a relationship to Absorbing Man.
Yeah. Or yeah, plenty of like Hulk related characters.
Right.
I think most of them will probably just be like secondary villains.
Right.
There's like threats that She-Hulk has to face on her own. But I
Right.
think the leader, I think Tim Blake Nelson was rumored to make an appearance again because I think they're trying their best to continue on what they left off in Incredible Hulk because
Right.
they've just been lying around in the MCU for ages.
Right.
Like
We
you
might
said
get
with
Red Hulk
Abomination.
out of it, to be honest.
That too. I mean, there's even the lead scene of Black Widow, where Ross's health was deteriorating,
Right.
and it was meant to sort of like hint at the possibility of him using like a
Super
different, like
soldier.
a super soldier serum, and then in turn that transforms him into the Red Hulk.
Right. Right.
But and then yeah, I digress. So yeah, that's pretty much where I think they'll go with that. But actually, since we are talking about sort of what Shang-Chi implies for the future, what were your thoughts on the post-credit scenes? Were they
So
as exciting as you thought, or were
so
you
I
just
think there was overhyped. I think the rumor out there was that it was beyond shocking, amazing, blah 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 blah. So we do kind of see that at the end of the movie they go back to their little scene of talking to their friends, them meaning Shang and Katie, and they're like, oh, telling all these stories about how they fought and the rings that they used and all this stuff. And then Wong walks in through a portal and was like, Shang-Chi. And he's like, I'm here. And they end up going with him. When they walk in, uh, Wong is waiting there with Captain Marvel and Bruce, and they're talking about the rings. And I guess the whole idea, and mind you, it was not as exciting as people try to claim it was, but it was good.
yeah, no, yeah, yeah,
Um,
oh yeah, they're arguably good, but they
when
are not
when Shang
fantastic.
used the rings, he essentially activated a beacon within them. If you're not familiar, the 10 rings are actually alien artifacts. So
Yes,
the Mandarin gets a hold of them probably when they land on Earth, right? Some point 1,000+ years ago. And then he uses them for bad when Shang obviously ends up using them for good. It was not explained. purposely not explained. I did read an article with the producer and the director that said they did plan to explain where exactly they came from, but thought this could be a nice added piece for the second film and maybe have that villain be one of those alien resources. This is so old that Captain Marvel doesn't even know either, right? So as they talk, Captain Marvel says this has no readings. They asked if it's Chitari. She said this has no readings of any alien life that she's aware of.
Hmm.
Bruce does his scientific investigations as well. You know, thermal readings and all this stuff. Says nothing that comes off as something that he would even know what it was, right?
I
Um,
want to know who will though.
who would actually know?
A little team called the Eternals.
So that makes me think is, and I think we talked about this in the theater. They mentioned the emergence in the trailer of Eternals. They mentioned the emergence came. So when everybody was snapped back, not snapped away, snapped back by Stark, there was enough energy in that snap to cause what they call the emergence. Is Shang using the rings, the catalyst for the rings? Obviously, him using it caused the beacon to go off. I'm almost thinking it goes back to the whole power thing. Like everybody's getting like super powered now, right? Like I think
Oh yeah,
we're gonna see it with Miss Marvel. We're gonna see it with Photon. We're gonna see it with Captain Marvel and the Marvels.
absolutely.
Um, saw it with Loki. Saw it with Scarlet. Everybody's getting powered up. Shang essentially powered up the rings, is what I think happened. And the force and energy that was kind of caused by the snap is causing the power up. There's only two people that I know of that they need to actually power up for in the MCU. Two villains, if you want to call it. One's already known from the Loki series, Kang. I think Galactus is on the way, man. I think little by little they're leaning towards Galactus being the main villain, and Kang's just the guy that's going to hold us off till Phase 5.
Yeah, honestly, I would not be surprised.
Like even fully powered OP, like give everybody the max ability that they have, just can't beat Galactus like that. I'm sorry. Like even like if Silver Surfer's around, and even if all of them cannot compete, even
Oh, that'll be
combined.
yeah, that'll be a two-part movie. I already know what the ending of the first part would be. It's just Galactus consuming. I think an ideal story would be to have like these two Earths face off against each other, and then the one who wins gets consumed, and then the one who loses, right? Because obviously the strongest, right, you would think has the most capability of defeating Galactus. So I think Galactus will have the opposite mindset, like play a reverse psychology game, where
Right.
like he sort of like manipulates the heroes into like facing off against like another Earth. That
Mhm.
Earth gets consumed, the winning one that is, and then that'd be my ideal story. And if from that point it would just be the remaining survivors. I mean, it'll pretty much be like a Infinity War Endgame type of situation. So there's only so much you can do with that kind of storytelling. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, it's definitely like a larger villain at play. That's why I'm kind of a bit skeptical as to why they put Kang and Ant-Man in Quantum Mania. I mean, the only purpose I think is maybe because
Oh, it's just a
his
variant.
city,
It's not the main King.
oh, Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man
Everybody,
Quantum Mania.
my assumption is every King, like the main King, is not even going to be a thing for a while. We're just going to see variants of that.
Okay, yeah. So
Right.
that reassures me.
Right.
Um,
They're gonna face a variant in the quantum realm, a
okay,
variant of King. Right.
yeah. And then what else? Yeah, so that's pretty much it about the post credit scene. I don't. I will be honest though. I think the when like Katie says to I'll be honest though. Katie was extremely annoying throughout the movie. I
Oh,
didn't like her
I
much.
loved her. I loved her. I've
But
disagreed
the
with that
one moment
totally.
the one moment that got me was like at the end where she says, you don't want to know what else we can do, and it seemed he was like, or, and then they cut away to and like when Wong like
And they all
drums and
start
sings
singing.
karaoke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know what? That's perfect. More so, not. I mean, we already had that obviously in with those two characters, but Wong would do that. Like that isn't just a play on to what Shang Chi wanted to like
Yeah.
show as funny. Like Wong would do that on his own.
Oh no, I
Clear as
think
day.
Wong is just so stressed out by Strange's incompetence, as we'll see in No Way Home, for instance, that
I don't
he
even
probably
know where is Strange at that point.
I don't know anymore. I mean, we don't. This is definitely before Multiverse of Madness. Well, didn't they explain the movie where Shang was, or Shang? Jesus, Strange was, or
They didn't say anything about Strange. Though.
they didn't? Oh, okay. I thought there was like a
No.
name drop for a quick
I mean,
second by
they
like,
probably know who Strange is. I'm sure. Like everybody knows who Strange is at this
yeah,
point.
yeah.
But
Oh, I can't believe I forgot about this. Bruce Banner is in human form.
yeah,
Apparently, that happened. Um, thoughts
I
on?
honestly I'm confused because my understanding in Endgame was that Bruce turned himself into Professor Hulk for good.
I was under that
That
impression as well. I
and Grant, our friend, um, he made a point that he didn't actually say that.
Oh no,
Like,
so right, I think that's what we were supposed to assume, but I agree.
right.
Like Grant was absolutely right in saying like there is never an official confirmation if Banner
But
can
if
get out
that's
of
the
that.
case, then maybe that's just to make it easier for She-Hulk and not have to use too much CGI. I think that's why he did it, honestly.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. Like, if I'm
Yeah.
honest, thinking
It's a
honestly, technically they
series. Like
want to.
they can't just have straight up Hulk all the time talking to, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Or
I mean,
I mean, it'd be cool if he's able to just turn himself into a Professor Hulk. But the thing is, he said me and the other guy made a deal. Like, what's the deal? That means like Hulk is still just in there then?
I hope so. They Russo Brothers ruined Hulk, man.
No, I think they
I
can fix
hate
them
that.
though. If
Well,
they
I mean,
bring like
yeah,
Angry
they
Hulk,
can.
I thought he was great in Ragnarok. Like that is the Hulk that ends up that is our Hulk, right?
I'm sorry. I think he peaked in Avengers Hulk. I'll be honest. I think
Oh, yeah, but I'm
the
saying
best. Yeah.
Ragnarok is where that was built almost, is right. That's where like in the comics, talking normal, not always angry Hulk existed. That was the main Hulk. That's what everybody knew as Hulk in the comic lines, unless there was an Incredible Hulk line, obviously that focused on him being angry Hulk. But like I liked where he was at Ragnarok in Avengers, and then they just shit on him. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
hope in She Hulk we get Angry Hulk to come back. Like there's got to be a way he comes back. There's no way he's just non-existent.
I said before, and this is actually this is a true fact. We have never seen since the Avengers, we have not seen Banner turn into Hulk in one shot.
Right. Honestly, even going
I
back
want
to
to see that again.
the end game fight, like I would have rather seen Angry Hulk fight than one armed Professor Hulk.
Well,
Like Angry Hulk is one of the more powerful characters in the MCU. Like the only person
he
that could
is.
like I think he's one of the only people that killed Logan in the comics.
Yeah, I think he.
One of the few. Dark Phoenix did. We can get into that another time, but either way, pretty confident.
Yeah, it's just
Um,
man.
Either way, I hope we get some. Bring us back, Angry Hulk. I want that. I want that.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure. And then
and
Captain
then
Marvel. Yeah. Sorry, you can go ahead.
yeah, obviously Captain Marvel's part was just kind of giving the alien perspective, and you and I talked about how we loved how she showed some emotion in that scene. In those 30 seconds, we saw more emotion than we ever did in any other appearance of hers whatsoever.
No, honestly, when I saw her, I was thinking to myself, really, like people were excited to see Captain Marvel again. Like I don't.
Maybe you know what? In terms of shocking, her showing emotion is probably the most shocking thing in that film.
No, like I feel bad for Brie Larson too because she's is definitely a talented actress.
I
But oh
think
my, like
I think
her
they'll fix her.
performance was awful. I'm
They'll
sorry.
they'll
And
fix
she gave.
they'll fix
Um,
Captain Marvel with Miss Marvel. I think.
I'm not even excited for the Marvels. I can't stand
I
Captain Marvel as a
so
character. Like
I
I'll
think
watch it out of principle because I love you, brother. I appreciate everything you've done for me in terms of like making me knowledgeable for Marvel
I
movies.
just think they're leaning more towards fixing her slowly. They know that people are upset with the way that she showed lack of emotion. They know they didn't develop her the right way. They know that they didn't write her the right way, and they know that Brie Larson is an amazing freaking actress. So do your fucking job and give her the chance to do what she can do. And I think we'll see it. I think we'll start to see it in Miss
Oh
Marvel,
yeah,
the
and
series.
they just hired
I'm
probably the
excited for it.
worst directors. I'm
Um,
not. Like I'll be
I'm
honest.
excited.
I'm waiting for a trailer, and then if the trailer
I think it'll
is
happen. We'll see.
Marvels will be a better movie than the original, but I
Yeah,
don't know. I'm
we'll
not
see.
excited.
We'll see for sure. I like
I
Gianna
don't.
Paris. I
Yeah,
like the girl playing Miss Marvel too. So we'll see.
yeah.
And
Miss
I'm a huge
Marvel.
fan of the Avengers video game. So and Miss Marvel was like the main like protagonist
Yeah, I mean Miss
of the game.
Marvel will be fine
So
at best. I don't like Monica. Right? No, is it Monica?
Monica Rambeau, yeah, I think, yeah.
Rambo, I don't like her, and she's the main character. Like I'm sorry, bro. Like Marvel's probably my least anticipated Marvel movie. They
Yeah,
have two
I
of
think
my most disliked characters in the MCU thus far.
I think you'll
Like
be shocked
I
at how
don't.
good it is. It's going to be good for sure.
If it's good, and you can quote me on this right now, I will get a tattoo.
Okay.
Okay.
So as
I'll get
far
like
as
a
the second post credit scenes, we see Shang's sister is now the leader of the Ten Rings, and we can finally see that the Tournament of Champions will be coming. So stay tuned. My belief is Shang-Chi #2 will have the Tournament of Champions involved. Smart that they waited. So when let's say by 2020, what is it, 2021 now? You'd say probably by 2024, Shang-Chi 2 comes out, maybe, give or
I think
take.
20. I would say 2025,
4 or 5, depending. He's going to appear in other content before that for sure.
I think I
Um,
think I expect them. This whole beacon, like the whole beacon thing.
Maybe a post credit scene with him.
I think with Eternals, I think it might be showing up in Eternals just to explain this, the importance of how
That shows how powerful he could be, though. The Eternals are worried about it, so that's cool to see how
I
strong
would,
Shang's going to be.
yeah, I would really like if he showed up in Eternals, just sort of had that connective
Right. I mean, you got to
element.
think
But
Mandarin's been 1,000 years plus old. He had to run into Eternal. Maybe. So the thing is, they say they're not allowed to get involved with conflict, stopping war, stopping this, stopping that. You're gonna tell me they didn't even notice the Mandarin stuff, like Mandarin
oh,
attacking.
absolutely.
Maybe we see the Mandarin in the Eternals in a past credit scene. Like they had to watch him destroy.
Oh, you know, it has
You know what I mean?
infinite number of possibilities. We can also see maybe Namor set up for Black Panther 2. Maybe show how like Atlantis was submerged, or actually we discovered Atlantis was never fully destroyed, and then maybe just like the camera pans to Wakanda for a brief moment, just to show how there would be a huge war between the Atlanteans and Wakandans. Maybe
Right.
possibility
Right.
too.
Oh, I'm excited for it. So we'll see where Shang-Chi goes with the next steps, and maybe there he's in the Eternals. I want to see him in more content before we get to the second Shang-Chi film for sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah, no,
now we
I,
got to get into the good part of this episode as well. I think that was good, but this might be even better. Telling you guys right now, when we get into this fourth episode of Doctor Strange, or I'm sorry, of What If, which involved Doctor Strange, it's gonna be a little short, but it's gonna be all praise because I'm not kidding you. And Matt, I think you said this too. I There was nothing wrong with the episode. Like this is the first
I would
bit of
agree.
Marvel content, and I'm gonna say this straight up. This is the best episode of This is the best plain Marvel content we've gotten in years.
Oh yeah, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with this episode. Like I know, right? Coming from me, shocking. Um, no, seriously, like this episode was a literal masterpiece. That's it. We'll go more in depth, but I literally cannot find any flaws. Like I was literally trying to find a flaw, and I couldn't. Every single line of dialogue, well, not every single line. Like lines of dialogue were fine, right? Nothing bad, but there were like certain lines of dialogues that blew me away. Like for instance, where we see Doctor Strange interact with the character of, oh, I can't remember his name, but he essentially this guide in this massive library. Um, well, let me contextualize this. So, for those who are unaware, the premise of the episode is what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands, I believe. In this, we see it as love interest from Doctor Strange. Christine dies as opposed to him as being in a like terrible accident and him obviously having to go through uh, major surgery with his hands. As such, he goes through like very similar events as we saw in Doctor Strange. Except this time around, he reverses time in order to rescue her. He continually tortures himself to a point where he is desperate to reverse an absolute point. An absolute point being a point in time that cannot be erased. It is set in stone, and no matter what you can do, that point is inevitable. There's no altering it whatsoever. Strange does the opposite and says, no, there has to be a way, I can save the love of my life. So he ends up heading to this library um, to an unknown location. And then there's a character he was introduced to. Do you remember his name by chance?
Um, yes. 1 second. I got
No, you're
no.
fine. Because
There's
I know
some.
you had notes written down.
I
Because
did.
I
I did write
completely
down
forgot
his
to note.
name, but I just need to find it. Bear with me, people,
Yeah, no problem.
please. They went to the Lost Library of Cagliostro,
There you go. So, yep.
or Bane the Librarian,
Bane. You said
or Bane. Correct. Yep.
Bane.
Yep.
Yep. So Bane. To which he says, you're a very odd sorcerer, which I think is a play on uh how Doctor Strange interacted with his main villain. It's like Doctor. He's like, Mr. Strange. Like, no, it's Doctor.
Right.
Doctor
Right.
Strange, etc. And then as a result, he starts like scrolling through all these different books, reads through, figures out how to reverse absolute point. And I think right out of the gate, you think to yourself, "Oh wow, there's probably tons of exposition." I think the exposition was done very well, and I think you definitely saw such a huge development within the character. We actually saw legitimate. Well, I want to say the word growth, but that didn't necessarily happen. But let's just say there's a huge difference to the Strange we saw at the very beginning compared to where you see him at the end, which I absolutely adore. I mean, they explored moral conflict, the ends of which you want to uh, change the past, the idea of grief, etc. Like all of that is done beautifully, and I cannot praise the episode any more. Truthfully, I mean, there are even more plot details we can unravel within the episode. But
Yeah. No.
I mean,
It's.
where do you
I mean,
stand?
you kind of had. I mean, look. I'm straight up, not even remotely joking. Hands down, the best content I've seen. I God, I want to go as far as to say ever in the MCU. Like it is. We've been talking about when the multiverse broke and the multiverse of madness was announced, and the fact that Doctor Strange is in No Way Home, and I'm like speechless. It was so fucking good. And speaking to the absolute zero, I don't even fuck these notes, man. I'll just talk about it. So the fact that uh he I kind of figured in watching the No Way Home episode trailer that came out that something was off. My last assumption in the last episode was that this is Mephisto again. I had to throw a name out there. In a way, he is evil like him, right? That this what we my assumption is that the Doctor Strange in the universe of What If in this episode is the Doctor Strange that we see in the No Way Home trailer. Because A, we know he absorbed many evil characters, evil villain or creatures, right? That created the evil version of himself. The Sorcerer Supreme, the former Sorcerer Supreme, split Strange into an evil and good side, essentially, right? And then the good Strange is absorbed as well. Now,
I was shocked. I
do
was
do be
genuinely shocked by
very
that movement.
cautious of this though. The evil Strange, I'm sorry, the good Strange and the evil Strange are not our Strange at all. This is
Yeah,
not MCU Strange. Okay,
they just existed at the same time
the
within this
good
own universe.
Strange in that universe is similar to our good MCU Strange, right?
Yes.
But they are not the same.
Yeah.
This
But
is a
they're
Strange that did
yeah,
not lose
exactly.
his hands; he lost his heart. That's the whole concept. My guess is this evil Strange, he's not locked into wherever he is. His universe was destroyed to the T. He
That
can
was
escape that.
oh yeah.
He's going to escape that. He
Yeah.
has the power to do
That
so.
was such a devastating moment where we see I love the inclusion of the Watcher in the episode. So
Yes.
to talk about the scene you were referring to where he's absorbing all these different monsters in order to
Right.
gain power to reverse the absolute point, we see the Watcher in the background. He's
Right.
Strange is capable of sensing his presence. And then much later on, where the evil Doctor Strange does succeed in his endeavors, we see the entire universe collapsing around him, basically fading away into nothingness. And then out of nowhere, as the universe is physically closing around them and he's doing his very best to sort of repel this closure, the Watcher actually interacts with Strange directly and says, I would do anything to save these universe and to make you, to punish you endlessly, but
Right.
I am not allowed to interfere. And then Strange is desperately asking, begging him, please, please do something. Like I will live all my days in utter pain. These people do not deserve to suffer because of my actions.
And that's
And
what's crazy is the evil Strange is the one speaking, right? So it's not like the good Strange is taking over the evil Strange's body, right? What's going on here is the evil Strange is repenting,
yeah,
but
this is
it's
a
still gonna end up doing evil shit. Now, is he just become more angry because the Watcher didn't help? And he says, "All right, well, fuck you. I'm gonna go absorb every Strange in the multiverse, and I'm gonna be the most
yeah,
powerful Sorcerer Supreme there is."
yeah, this is a Strange who expresses deep regret. I feel.
I'm
I think
extremely
in his final
confident
moments, yeah.
that
And
the villain of Multiverse of Madness is Doctor Strange.
could you imagine?
I think in evil Doctor Strange, he's going to continue to absorb power. I think honestly, Scarlet might be the fucking protagonist in this again, or in this. Like she may be the only one that can stop his bullshit. Like it seems like everybody that we know except Loki is bad again, or bad. Like Loki's the only good one. He was the bad one in the first place. Like he's the only one that may be trying to fix things when it all comes to be. So overall, just as far as the animation is great. I've been loving all the animation with all the what ifs. The plot line was amazing. The connections to what inevitably is probably going to be Eternals, everything that's going forward, right? The
Yeah.
connection in itself.
The voice work was phenomenal as
The
well.
the
Easily
voice
the best
work,
voice work thus far.
the multiversal perspective, every character in it. Wong was great. Christine was amazing in it. I love that they gave her more of a pedestal to stand on instead of just like, hey, I'm the cute girl that Doctor Strange loves. Like she actually had more of like an impactful experience on Doctor Strange's life, which is what I wanted. Not just like, oh, I loved you, but I don't love you anymore. It's like the reason why he turned
Yeah,
evil was because of the
yeah,
loss of her.
absolutely. I mean, seeing Strange in such a different state compared to the MCU version
Yes.
was my. I mean, this is a very dark episode. I mean, we see him enclosed in this bubble seemingly forever.
Right.
So like he can theoretically exist for an infinite number of years,
Right.
and he is constantly stuck in that state.
Right.
And I think
Or if he's not, then he finds a way out, and it's causing
yeah,
havoc amongst the
and the
multiverse.
worst part is like he was just stuck in this perpetual cycle of chaos and darkness
Right.
to a point that he's essentially, I mean, for all intents and purposes, we know, you know, he was willing to end the world
Yeah.
just to save the person he
Until the
loved.
last minute when the Watcher couldn't help. And the thing is, I it makes me think more so that the No Way Home Doctor Strange is a different version of Doctor Strange, more likely the What If version. That Automata is existing, like that was destroyed by Dan. Well, you figure technically Thanos, right? He squished it. Um, and the one in What If has it still. So like I don't. They're literally like he just has like a demony look to him. He's the guy who was willing to let Peter and Tony die is suddenly willing to risk the multiverse to make people forget Peter Spidey.
Yeah,
Like
like I think his characterization is is somewhat odd. I've seen like we discussed for No Way Home trailer a review. I mean, I've seen strong arguments on both sides, but well, like I said, we have to wait until the movie comes out and see why he was willing to cast that spell for Peter. We'll see.
right, right.
But yeah, 5 out of 5 stars easily.
Yes,
There's absolutely nothing wrong with the episode, and I mean,
100%.
you can go so in depth into the character Doctor Strange here.
Right.
But we'll just leave it at that.
No, for sure.
Actually, on the
The,
topic of ratings, though, we didn't actually rank rate Shang-Chi. But anyways, I know you
well,
want to comment further
yeah,
on Doctor
I just
Strange.
want to. Yeah, I definitely will give it the five out of five for sure. Um, honestly, in terms of impact, more than anything, like the episode and the content was amazing. The impact it has on what we've watched so far in the MCU, what we know and think might happen, and what we know is coming with Spidey and Doc Multiverse Madness and the Quantumania and Kang being the main villain. It's all one giant connection, right? And to see the expansion of the sorcerer's powers, to see how strong, again, how the power of which Doctor Strange can have as Sorcerer Supreme. Love seeing the Chosen One back again. Like I love her as a character personally, and God, just bravo. I mean,
I
what
mean,
like what
oh yeah,
people just didn't have
this
expectations with What If, but and I didn't.
this yeah, this skyrocketed the potential of the What If series.
Oh yes,
This solidifies that if the screenwriters are willing to take these daring and oftentimes dark directions with their
they
characters,
changed what
you
we
can
know about
yeah,
Doctor Strange.
you can make wonders with the series.
They
And
changed what we know.
I want them to keep I want them to have these wild part of my friends. I want them to have these wild fucking ideas. Like you do anything. Be brave. This is a brave episode, and people love it. And if you don't love it, you're wrong.
Right, right.
No, joking
No,
around.
it is
But
no.
like
Everybody has opinions for sure,
there's
but
yeah, everyone has
it
opinions, but
is.
you cannot you like I just don't understand how you cannot like this
You
episode.
can just say it like this, man. You can't miss. He can't miss.
Yeah, literally.
Like
But
he listen. I'm telling you right now, man. Just alone with What If, this proved to us this can be a great series, right?
yes,
Along with that, they proved to us they got some crazy shit coming.
oh no doubt on my mind.
They got
Yeah,
some
I
crazy shit
mean,
coming, and I
I don't.
trust
Yeah,
this multiverse madness, and I trust Mr. Sam Raimi to redeem himself. Not really himself because he quit before Spidey 4 came. There's a rumor out there. Real quick, I'm gonna throw it out there a little bit of rant or side rant. Raimi and Toby. Raimi only agreed to come back to Doc Multiverse and direct, and Toby only agreed to come to No Way Home if they were allowed to make a Spidey 4 together.
I can
That's the
see that.
rumor out there.
So I think Sony, depending on the critical and financial success of the movie, will definitely consider developing a Spider-Man 4 and Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Right. The hype itself. I mean, they already broke the record for a trailer for beating Endgame. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's making $1 billion.
Yeah. And this is COVID times too.
So
So
yeah, I know. It's just such a fantastic episode, man. It's so
dude,
good.
it's so good, great content, and honestly, I can't believe that they actually did it. Like it's like shock almost too.
I can't believe it took them so long, and I really
Eh,
don't think any other What If episode is going to compare with this.
no, but we
I,
shouldn't expect it to. So I'm not gonna. That's the thing. We can't really like compare it to the best. Like it's the best because it's the best. Not because it's gonna make everything else the best, right? We just gotta keep it separate.
yeah. I just don't
Judge
think
it on its
anything
own.
will match this. Will match this
Yeah,
in
it's just
quality.
it's not gonna detract how good it is for me though. Like one episode being that good and the other one's not being as good isn't gonna make me say the series is that bad. Like this episode alone
Oh
could
yeah. I
catapult it
mean,
to the best series to date, in my opinion.
yeah. This is like I think the
Like
episode itself
that's
is the best Marvel DC.
I
Content
wanted
so
more.
far.
I wanted a full movie out of this. Honestly, I could have watched a full animated movie for an hour and 50 minutes.
It's crazy how much they
Just
covered
related
in
to this.
35 minutes in comparison to the other episode. Like, I don't
Right,
know why it's weird. Like episode one was so rushed and it
right.
had close to the same runtime as episode four. And episode four did 10 times, like literally did 10 times the amount in terms of developing his characters and actually bringing in new ones that are likable. Crazy. I mean, who thought you could do that? You know?
Dude, I'm
But
just
it's just
fucking. It was so
crazy.
damn good, so damn good.
It
But
was
real
so
quick,
good.
before we end this thing, I want to just flat out what's your rating out of 10 for Shang-Chi?
Um, probably a 2.5. I will yeah.
2.5 out of 10.
Oh, we're doing out of 10 or out of 5?
I did 10. Well, I did 10 on the what you call it rating.
Oh, I'm doing, oh yeah, well, 2.5 out of 5. I'm just
Out of
rating
five.
mine out of 5.
That's not. I mean, that's not bad considering how critically you are. So
Which is probably like a honestly like a 5 or a 6. Yeah, I could say it's probably like a very low 6, but I can definitely bring it down to a 5 with everything I found wrong with the film. But it's a 2.5 out of 5 for me.
okay, not bad. Not
What
bad.
about your? What about you? Because I know you're 8 out of 10.
Well, I
But
gave
if
the
you
8
out of 5, you
out of
probably give
5.
like a 3.5 or 4.
I'll be more towards the
You're
3.
8.
Say more towards the 3. 3 to 5. 3 out of 5 comes more
Gotcha.
towards the 8,
Okay.
10. Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
say
3.5 is 8. Yeah.
definitely a 3. Especially every time I talk to you, I feel like I lower my rating. But yeah, I'll say 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, seriously. Overall, I don't even care what else Marvel does after that Doctor Strange episode. Like they can't disappoint me going for that's a lie. They're gonna disappoint me anyway. It's fine though. But hey, of course we appreciate you guys always hopping in and dropping into the We Can Be Heroes podcast. Matt, you want to drop your social medias real quick and let everybody
Yeah,
know?
Matt underscore T2. No, Matt underscore T29 over on Instagram. If you ever want to have a conversation about Marvel, I know I'm critical. I'm sorry. But like like I said, this is purely out of love. I adore Marvel because I've grown up with this franchise for many years now. But it needs to be of higher quality. There's no excuse at this point. Um, and I'll continue watching it. Like I will watch every single Marvel movie. I will watch every single Disney Plus show, because this is a franchise that is still near and dear to my heart, no matter how critical I am. But yeah. So, anyways, thank you for the support, and we'll be back in the coming weeks. With some new What If episodes. Eternals is coming out next. No, Eternals is coming out November. Sorry. Yeah. So much to dissect in the meantime, but hopefully, I honestly, I need to be a point where we'll reach a hiatus after What If is over, depending on when that ends. But you know, probably random DC content like Doom Patrol. I'm not sure if you watched that show, but it's fantastic. Fantastic if you ever get a chance to.
Oh, I gotta
Anyways,
get into that for sure. No, we'll get
that's
into that.
that's my outro there.
And of course, you can
But
find me. You can find me at John underscore OTS on all social media platforms. Head over to the On the Sidelines Facebook page. Drop the like. We're really going up on the likes. We want to get to 1,000, hopefully by the end of the year. I think we can even surpass that. So let's get to 1,000 likes. Send your friends over, like the page, join the Facebook group On the Sidelines group. We'll talk about all things Marvel, all things DC, all things Star Wars. Talk this content on next week. My goal is to get one of the OTS members, Bruce Carter. He's always in the Facebook group talking about what's next for the MCU. He has a lot of great opinions. Honestly, probably a lot of great facts. He knows his comic book lore. He's super deep on that. He was talking about the Midnight Suns coming. There's a video game, but he brought that up before he
oh
even knew the video game was coming. To be
yeah,
honest,
I
he mentioned
very
that
excited
Doctor
for that.
Strange may be building the Midnight Suns soon in the MCU.
I think yeah, probably building the Illuminati as well.
So we'll bring him on for sure. We'll get him on, and hopefully next week I'm gonna send him a message and try to get him on for that. But hey, head over to also go to youtube.com/OTS guys. Drop the subscribe, like the videos, check us out. We appreciate you guys always. We love this new Marvel content coming out. More What If next week. We'll get right into that. And we're gonna get into Eternals as soon as that joint pops out. And I'm really excited for that. Super anticipated
Me
for the
too,
Eternals.
brother.
So we'll see
Me
where
too.
it goes and how it does. And we love you guys. We appreciate you always for hopping in and giving us all the likes and things that we love that you do. Peace.
Peace.